Hey everybody, I'm Ellie Mae, joined with Shannon in three, two, one. Here she is. We took a little break, but we are back here with you guys. Happy Friday, everybody. Today our question is: do you think Harvey Weinstein will be found guilty? Crazy, crazy stuff with this. Really quick background, Harvey Weinstein, obviously big movie producer. People.
Oh, we have Dakota, our friend from Oregon, calling. Sorry, I'm gonna just take
Totally
this.
fine. Yeah.
Why is this? Wait, it hung up. Hold on. Let me call him back real fast and see if Dakota, he has something to say. Feels strongly about this.
Hello?
Hi, Dakota. This is Shannon. Did you call to talk on the show about Harvey Weinstein?
I did, Shannon. I'm sorry. I had a bad connection. My call dropped.
No worries. Well, you're live on air with me and Ellie. We wanted to call you back and see what you thought about this.
Well, hello, Ellie, first off. But honestly, I have to say it doesn't take a genius with a law degree to know that this man's going to get in trouble. I mean, not one, not two, but multiple people have come forward saying Mr. Weinstein is guilty of something. I think sooner rather than later, this man's going to go to prison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as well he should. As well he should.
I mean, for those who disagree with me, I mean, it's pretty pointless. It's like two bald men fighting over a comb. It's pointless to argue that he's not. I mean, do I think the Me Too movement has played a part in this? I do, because it took one person coming forward about Harvey Weinstein, who at the time was a very, very powerful individual in Hollywood, to create what I like to think of as a domino effect. And after this first domino fell, it brought down countless other aggressors, as I like to think of them. That's just my take. That's what I was going to say before I got disconnected. But,
yeah, well, no, we appreciate you calling in. I think both Ellie and I agree with your point on this. We definitely would like to see him punished for this. And hopefully, as you say, it will have a domino effect, and other people who are, predators will also face consequences for what they've done.
Exactly. I agree with what you both think, yes. So, anyway, have a good Memorial Day
Thank
weekend.
You. You too. Thanks, bye-bye. Dakota. Bye.
Yeah, the thing is what people are so worried about is someone like Harvey Weinstein being so powerful and just getting a slap on the wrist because, quote, the system is broken and things like that, which that does worry me. I hope he doesn't, just walk away with nothing but a slap on the wrist for this. That would be absolutely horrible. And but I don't think that we will see that with this. There's just no way. And another thing, I was talking to my mom about it actually, and she was like, he might just, if he's going down, he might take everyone down with him. Just kind of like what the caller was saying about a domino effect. It's like he might just start naming names, and I mean, this could be the start of an even bigger avalanche than we're anticipating.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, all of these people, mostly men who have been predators, will start to be, taken to task. Yeah, I mean, do you think how much do you give credit for the Me Too movement? I feel like for Harvey Weinstein is directly responsible for this.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. I would just say there was, speaking of avalanches, there was an avalanche of boldness for a lot of victims in a lot of different industries that women were able to come forward, and not just women, but mostly women were able to come forward. And we saw just, what was it, like 6 months ago, where it was day after day. It was Louis C.K., Roger Ailes, basically, Kevin Spacey, everyone was just names were being named. People were coming forward about these allegations that were very intense. And, you know, people lost their jobs, they lost contracts, they lost a lot because of it. And consequences finally were being, you know, made. And it was just a groundswell of women, and it was amazing. But so Harvey was arrested on charges of rape, sexual abuse, sexual misconduct, and committing a criminal sex act relating to 2 separate encounters with women. And one woman I don't think was identified, but one was Lucia Evans, which I don't personally know a lot about her, but yeah, so it's, I mean, his charges are serious. It's just, yeah. I mean, what do you think? Obviously, we credit Me Too with this, and yeah. I mean, a lot of our commenters are also saying yes. Obviously, what
first degree rape is? I mean, that's the worst. Like that is the worst one, you know. And for that woman you mentioned, Lucia Evans, basically Rose McGowan. She obviously, all these victims of his are so gratified. But she went in thinking it was a casting call, and he basically forced her to perform oral sex. Like, can you imagine, just with impunity, that he had been doing that for decades, where basically women would come in. Imagine going into a job interview and they're like, "Oh, you want this job? Give me a blowjob." What?
Yeah,
like,
no.
Just, I mean,
and I don't know if you've heard the audio recording of there was it's an alleged audio recording of him trying to have I forgot her name, trying to have her watch him shower, and she's like saying no, and yeah, it's horrible. So crazy times. That you should look that up though, for real. It's pretty bad. And yeah, okay, so our commenters all are saying they hope so, that yes, hope so. Yeah, that is, I mean, I tweeted about this, and someone immediately was like, well, they named someone, and they're like, he was, you know, doing horrible stuff. This so-and-so was doing horrible stuff. And he barely saw prison time. So I think people are a little worried about that happening.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, Harvey Weinstein, this is not like just on a whim. He woke up and was like, I guess I'll turn myself in. Obviously, this is on the advice of his, I'm sure, very expensive legal team. He knew that they had $1 million bail. I'm sure that was something his team was prepared for. He basically has probably some of the best defense lawyers and most expensive defense lawyers in the country who work on cases like these. He has planned this whole thing out. Obviously, I mean, he's going to plead not guilty is what they've been saying. I don't know if they entered in that plea or if they've just said that to the press, but clearly he is going into this with the intent of avoiding jail time. So he knows that this arrest warrant was, I think, issued for him, and that the court was going to charge him with this. And so he is preparing himself as much as he can to avoid jail time, which I'm sorry.
Look at him. He's arrested smiling.
Gross.
Gross. I mean, I just don't understand. But what were you going to say? Sorry.
But I mean, the crimes he committed, he raped and sexually assaulted multiple women. Like, you need to go to jail. If you do that, you go to jail. Like, and I am, as you know, like, prison reform is one of my biggest things. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go to jail for when you commit bad and you do bad things. And raping women is a bad thing. You should go to jail for that. And you should go to jail for a long time for that.
Yeah, of course.
And especially with Harvey Weinstein, I mean, to talk about sort of, judicial reform and talking about prison reform, I think this is an example where, we talk all the time about people who, for example, drug offenses, right? There are so many people who are just like getting high and they get arrested and they go to jail, and it kicks off this like lifelong, thing in the system. Here we have a caller. Anyway, my point is, he obviously is someone who's going to reoffend and reoffend and reoffend. Yeah. He's an example of someone who should stay in prison. Caller from Kentucky. Hi, caller. This is Ellie and Shannon. Tell us, what do you think about Harvey Weinstein?
I think he's guilty because I think people's come out against him already, and I think the proof's in the pudding.
We were just talking about, I mean, he obviously has spent a lot of money hiring a top legal team, and he's pleading not guilty. Do you think there's a chance that his money basically allows him to get out of this?
Well, money talks, they say, but I still believe the women that come against him. I believe he's guilty. I think Rose Gowan proved that. Proved lots of things. Like I said, I think that he's guilty. I think that's why I think, like you said, money can't talk. So he may be he's brought the judge, or he can also have, maybe he's got friends with the people, and because he's a pretty powerful guy at the time, because he's a big movie person. So like I said, money can talk.
Well, thank you so much for calling. We would like to hear your point of view, and have to say we agree he should be found guilty. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Gretchen Carlson, of course, she was a Fox News host, and she pretty much at the beginning of Me Too, maybe even just a smidgen before, she won a $20 million settlement over sexual harassment by Roger Ailes. And now they are coming out with a documentary on A&E built around the Me Too movement with her. I don't know if she's basically starring in it, I'm pretty sure. And so their first specials are going to be about everyday working women, teachers, police women, and women in the military and things like that, and kind of what they're dealing with and things like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of that. I really like her, and I mean, that was a big deal. Having to, do that was a big deal. And
yeah, exactly. Hi, caller from Alabama. This is Ellie and Shannon. Tell us, what do you think about Harvey Weinstein?
Harvey Weinstein is guilty, and it'll show that he's guilty, and I hope he goes to jail.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much. Thanks for calling in. Yeah, I mean, I'm like really curious if there's anyone who feels like he should be found guilty. Although I think the question we were asking is less about like, it's pretty clear that he has done bad things. The question is, do you think he'll actually be charged with this thing? Yeah, I think you were talking about the Gretchen Carlson working with Andy on the documentary, and I think it's really important, and a lot of people have mentioned this about the Me Too movement. Obviously, there's so much press for the very visible, high-profile, sexual offenders.
Yeah.
But in everyday life, this happens on a much, much wider scale. People who work in fast food, who work in white-collar jobs, who work in construction, like, across the board, nurses. I mean, sexual harassment and assault is a part of our woven into the fabric of our culture and society in this truly disturbing way. And one of the things I think about the Me Too movement that remains to be seen, and again, there are many people who've written think pieces on this, but as you mentioned earlier, there was this big spurt of accusations against very high-profile people initially. And it did feel like the conversation was happening around sexual assault and gender dynamics and power roles, in ways that we haven't really talked about it so openly before. Mm-hmm. So it felt hopeful and like things were changing. But I think the question is, does that change long-term? And also, how far does that reach into the lives of everyday Americans who are facing these, not from a famous person, just from... Yeah. Hi, caller. This is Ellie and Shannon. Tell us, what do you think about Harvey Weinstein? Do you think they will find him guilty and send him to jail? No, you don't think so? You think he'll get out of it?
Yep.
Do you think he deserve to go to jail?
No.
Really? Why not?
What?
He didn't do anything they didn't want him to do.
Who didn't want him to do?
Wait 20 years to come out. All baloney. They're searching for money. Gold diggers.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for your opinion. We always like hearing a range of opinions, and thank you so much for calling in. I guess I should have challenged him more. I was like,
feel my heartbeat increasing. I would not have been able to be on the phone with him.
I should have. I was like shocked.
I don't even know what to say to that.
But like, what? Gold diggers? Excuse me. No, I just don't.
I can feel my face getting hot with rage. It's just so frustrating. It's like that's always the excuse of everyone. It's like, oh, and of course there are cases of that, but that is always what, these men will say. And women, they're like, oh, why did it take them so long? Okay, you know what? I would like to see you be in the shoes of someone terrified of people more powerful than her. And
so long was because that was how it worked. Is he knew that if these women spoke out against him, they would be blackballed, they would have no career, they would not be an actress, and he leveraged that to abuse them. That is why they
also just reliving that and deciding and discerning what to do with the whole situation. Just, oh my gosh, just think bigger, people, please. It is not just about money, and I'm pretty sure 70 plus women have accused him of doing this. It is what it is. It's not that deep. It really is just what it is, and it's a very scary situation. So I just can't. That's very frustrating to hear that excuse being used over and over.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
But yeah, so
from someone who says, oh, maybe this is who called in, Tim. They didn't have to take those leading roles that he was offering them for a sexual act, basically.
That's not every case of what is going on, by the way. That is not, oh my gosh.
Okay, caller from Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, right?
I think maybe.
Hi, caller. This is Ellie and Shannon of Soapbox. Tell us, what do you think about Harvey Weinstein? Will he be found guilty?
Yes, he will.
Do you think there's any chance that he manages to get a lesser sentence or like use his wealth and power to get less than he deserves?
I don't think so. They should put him away.
Well, we agree. Thank you so much for calling in. Yeah, I should have kept that guy on the phone longer. I was just literally so shocked.
I know.
That my brain shut down and I was like, okay, thanks, bye.
I see that kind of talk a lot online, and it's just, I just wish people would think outside of their bubble and put themselves in the shoes of someone who's terrified and just try and think bigger. I don't even mean to get mad because it is truly just ignorance, but sometimes it's intentional ignorance that is very problematic, where it's, ignorance is not bliss when you're dealing with stuff like this, because you're actually hurting victims and silencing them, really, by saying stuff like that and discrediting them. And it's just unfortunate. And of course, it stems from, those people who do lie about stuff, which is absolutely horrible as well. But this isn't that case. So just please.
Look at the statistics. Sexual assault is underreported. It's not over. The problem is that mostly women, but also men, get sexually assaulted too. Victims don't feel empowered to come forward. That is the actual problem.
Yes.
It's not. Oh, here's a caller from South Carolina. Hi, caller from South Carolina. This is Ellie and Shannon on Soapbox. What do you think about the Harvey Weinstein trial?
Oh, he's going to be found guilty.
Yeah, you think so? What do you think they're going to charge him with? Do you think they'll send him away for 20 years, or will he get a lighter sentence?
No, in politics, he'll probably get a lighter sentence, but he should.
Yeah, I agree.
They should be all treated equally.
They should. Do you think this shows that change is coming because of the Me Too movement? Like more people will be charged?
Possibly.
Yeah. Is that something that you support? Are you a supporter of the Me Too movement, or what do you think about this conversation in general?
Oh, I'm totally a supporter.
Nice.
Yeah. Hopefully it is affecting positive and needed change in our society.
Oh, definitely. Right. It's about time to have a change up there.
Couldn't agree more. Well, thanks so much for calling in, sir. You have a nice weekend. Me Too supporter. Yeah, it was really, it was very humbling and powerful to see when that first came out, just the sheer amount of women that I know who had posted, Me Too was just really oh my gosh, just overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Any more comments? I don't know. I think everyone, I would say 99% agree that he should be found guilty. I don't think everyone agrees that he for sure will be. We'll see what happens there. I'm just looking forward to seeing if he's going to rat more guys out or what we're going to hear about this.
I mean, the playbook for this is, victim blaming, basically. So lawyers will come in, they will try to discredit the two women who are accusing him. They will try to discredit the state's case. Hopefully it doesn't become like if those women take the stand, it is always heartbreaking to see in sexual assaults and rape cases. So often the defense goes after the victim and tries to say like, oh, they're a slut. They were asking for it, blah, blah, blah. They don't understand the meaning of consent, et cetera, which is just like very infuriating.
Yeah, don't get me started on that because it's so frustrating. Like, yeah, don't get me started on that. I will just say, it does not ever matter what a girl is wearing or anything like that. No means no. It's really that simple. It just means no. And it even gets more in depth than that. But it's just like, it doesn't matter. Are you really gonna, whatever.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Well, guys, hopefully you all have a safe Memorial Day weekend. And hopefully Harvey Weinstein gets his comeuppance and gets put away in jail for a long time. Stay safe. Don't harass anyone.
And thank you to all the families who are, on Memorial Day weekend without their loved ones who served our country. Thank you so much. And we will see you next week, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Yes. Thanks, everyone.